All right. Thank you so much, Brian. And it's a great honor to be here with all of you today. So I'm Dante Disparte. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer and Head of Global Policy at a company called Circle. And Circle, in many respects, has put to life exactly what Brian described as the art of the possible, which is that we're the largest issuer of regulated digital money in the entire world. We have a regulated digital dollar known as USDC, more than $78 billion in total circulation. And what's critical about this innovation is it is reaching people where they are and not necessarily confining financial access to traditional brick and mortar. And so as a result, we've processed something like $36 trillion in total payments in more than 190 countries. Effectively, the very devices that many of you have in your hands today that we all take for granted, when you get the recipe right and you leverage the technology infrastructure that Brian so powerfully described in his opening comments, now becomes an opportunity for a compliant payment endpoint. Your and my financial needs don't take bank holidays, but much of the traditional financial system does. And frankly, if you think of this in the context of a global economy, the one that David Malpass so ably described in his opening comments, and the current managing director and head of the World Bank describes this global poverty challenge that we have, which is that people are everywhere, but opportunity is not. And so for the very first time in human history, catered by this technology of open source blockchain infrastructure, we can ensure that anyone armed with a very basic internet connected device can have the full array of financial services delivered to them. Obviously, with that comes a very unique set of challenges that I know this forum has been debating for many years now, which is how do we ensure that financial access, responsible financial innovation, and financial integrity are not seen as trade-offs. One of the very reasons law enforcement all over the world likes the advent of these technologies is because it leaves behind digital breadcrumbs that has made it possible to ensure that good technologies do not become co-opted by bad actors. Companies like ours and many others have tried to espouse that as an operating model from the very beginning, but we think that we could prove this at world scale, that financial access and financial integrity are not trade-offs. We obviously need a whole host of other critical innovations to come to the fore, and many of them are actually not technological. What the technological breakthroughs that Brian described have done is merely show us where status quo has fallen short, but the real breakthroughs are actually policy, regulatory, and legal. And here now, finally, after many years of debate in the United States, we now have a new law known as the Genius Act. The Genius Act will enshrine frankly, Circle's way of doing business as the legal basis for being a competitor in the digital money domain. Even if you're a bank or a non-bank, you have a level playing field today, which is an uncompromising approach that if you have access to these digital dollars, your right to redeem them is protected even in the issuer's bankruptcy, while at the same time ensuring that financial crime compliance norms follow suit and follow in lockstep. A very important message, obviously, for the parliamentarians, not only in the room, but those listening online, is that while this is very much an America First law, it is not an America Alone law. In fact, the Genius Act endows the Treasury Secretary with the opportunity to seek out regulatory reciprocity and harmonization with countries around the world. And perhaps the very first example of this is the announcement of a transatlantic partnership on modernizing markets between the United States and the United Kingdom, which was announced during the state visit recently between Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves. I would argue that that type of very opportunity exists for many countries around the world, and it represents not only for the nation in question an opportunity to up-level their financial infrastructure, to see this technology wave as a wave of economic competitiveness and regional, if not national security, but at the same time as a critical opportunity to connect the dots economically, not just with the United States, but with a lot of this infrastructure that candidly has made the dollar the winning currency of this digital currency space race, but the dollar is no longer alone. Many other countries are responding favorably towards a free market approach to digital currency innovation, and many countries are now seeing the advent of blockchain infrastructure as going a place where their economies could not go if their economies remained analog, or if their banking systems and their payment systems remained walled gardens. So with that, I'll turn it over to my next colleague, and then we're looking forward to a vigorous debate and conversation with the audience. Thank you.